Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to be talking about how you can make sure that you can get your account as clean and tidy as possible for your accountant. Now, if I was doing this video back when I first started my career, this video would be absolutely pointless because back then, when it came to accountancy fees and charges and everything else, it was all based on what we called fixed fee. Nowadays, with accountancy, we have made sure that for our customers and for our clients, that we've made sure our fee structure is as variable as it possibly can be, because we know how many different types of businesses are out there and how valuable accounting services is for them. So our aim is to make sure those accounting services are available at all different price points and values. So in this video, we're going to be talking about how to make sure your data is as clean and tidy and ready to be submitted to your accountant with QuickBooks Online. Stay tuned. Hello, my name is Aaron Patrick. I'm a chartered accountant, a certified UK trainer, fancy new logo, that QuickBooks Chap on the internet, and also head of accounts here at Boffix. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about how your file can be as clean and as tidy as it possibly can be to make sure that you make any savings and make sure that your actual accounting bill is as fair and as efficient as it possibly is. Let's have a look. Okay then, so we're going to go through a few tips and tricks on this one. Now, I'm putting the hat on as the accountant looking at this file, and I'm going to let you know which bits of this one makes me nervous. Straight away, the first thing you can do is just make sure that you run down these bank accounts here, and as a very first element, make sure that none of these say need attention. Make sure that these bank balances are as close as they possibly can be. Now, you may be in a position where you've got a year end, say the 31st of January, and today is May, and it may be a case that you've got some data between January and May that you haven't quite got around to doing yet. That's absolutely fine, but do make sure that any transactions that are left in that 16 review do relate to after the period that you're asking your accountant to do your accounts for. So first of all, go down these lists, make sure you're happy with each one of those. And really what you should be thinking about is can you justify what that number represents? Because when you're being asked to go and do the final set of accounts and you're asked to sign them off, one of your responsibilities as a director or as the owner of the business is to make sure you're happy that those numbers are correct. So might as well get them right now, make sure you're confident and comfortable with them, and then you'll be having a better look at them later down the line. But having the numbers there isn't the end of the story. You see, as an accountant, we also have to sign off the accounts. And one of the things we have to make sure is these numbers are correct. And the best way for us to do that is to do what's called reconciliation. Now, QuickBooks has that built in. If I go to the accounting area down here and I go to reconcile, so that's left-hand navigation, accounting and reconcile. From there, I can go to the summary, top right-hand corner. And this gives me a great breakdown of where I am with my reconciliation summaries at this point in time. And what I'm looking for now is to make sure this statement ending balance here is past the date that I want my accounts to be done to. Now, we've done a lot of videos on this channel and also our sister channel, Aaron Patrick, the QuickBooks Chap, on how to make sure your bank is reconciled. But we're just going to quickly go through the principles of it now, just so you understand why it's so important. See, what my bank reconciliation is all about, if I go back to the reconcile screen, is about putting in an ending balance. Say my bank statement, I had it in front of me now, was £150 as of today's date. Now, when I press start reconciling, it's then going to go through all the transactions in QuickBooks Online, and it's going to come back with me with hopefully a £0 difference. Once I have a £0 difference, I can then do finish now. Now again, we've got other videos on how to look at things if they're not reconciled, but ultimately if you've connected your bank account up to QuickBooks Online and you've posted those transactions there, majority of the time you'll find that that figure there is going to agree with what's on your bank statement. And you think about how important that is, that gives you confidence that your bank is correct, and also gives us as the accountants confidence that we know we have every information there and we don't have to look too much into detail into that figure. We can trust that it'll be there or thereabouts. And for our job then, it's making sure we take into account anything that should be personal, anything that's not tax relevant, and we can then start looking at things like accruals and prepayments for you, because we have some rock solid foundations to work with on our data. So that's the first step, and by far the most important step. Concentrate first of all on that main account, and then if you've got any credit cards, savings accounts, anything like that, then make sure they get attached too. The next thing to be looking at then is just making sure that your debtors and creditors are correct. There's two ways to look at these. The first one is to look at the actual report itself. So if I go to the left-hand navigation and reports, and from here, I'm going to be looking down into my Who Owes You section, and I'm just going to look at my summary for now, and I'm going to go into my accounts receivable summary report. Make sure we choose the date that's important. So for me, I'm going to go last financial year, and I'm going to then press the run report option. Now at this point, I should be confident that these items were outstanding as at my year end. Now as a pro tip to make this really easy for you, if you change your aging method from report date to current, then that's going to tell you how many of these transactions are still outstanding now. Now in this case, pretty poor example, you can see pretty much all of them are still outstanding, and that's probably wrong. That's probably made a mistake on this particular client, because what's the likelihood that I had outstanding invoices as at my year end, 28th of the 2nd, 2022, which are still outstanding as of today? Now, what you'll notice normally when you do this is most of your numbers, or hopefully all of your numbers, disappear. If you've got a debtor that gets paid after date, then that debtor was definitely correct as at the date that you wanted it to be, so as at your year end. If you've still got transactions like we have now that are showing as outstanding, then that is a very good indication something's not gone quite right. Either these transactions need to be credited because they're actually bad debts to you and they need to have a bad debt provision put into place. Again, we've got a video on that if you need it. Or it could be the fact that they're actually debtors that have actually already been paid, either by another source, so not directly from the bank account, or the worst case scenario is that you've double counted them. You've put them as an invoice in here waiting for them to be paid, and then when the money is received, you've also included them again. In all of those scenarios, they need to be cleaned up and tidied before we do your accounts. Either reach out to your accountant for help, contact us at Boffix, or look through those videos we've already done on this particular issue, and you'll find them on either the Boffix channel or over on Aaron Patrick, the QuickBooks Chap. Another way of looking at your debtors though is jump into your sales section, go to customers, and you'll notice the money bar along the top. Now these money bar items here, really you should be clearing these as you go along. So if you've got estimates that are outstanding, are those estimates still valid? Unbilled activities, is there any transactions you haven't yet billed for that should be? Now this could be a good indication of things like work in progress, items like that, but it is really important that you're making sure that especially at your year end, those are cleared of what are relevant. And then the important one, anything that's overdue or open. Click on these items, review them here, have another look at them, make sure they are set. And from here you can even quickly make amendments to complete them as well. Don't just start looking at your trade debtors, but also start looking at your trade creditors as well. If I go down to the accounts payable aging summary report, then from here I can do the same thing. Let's go to my last financial year. And don't forget that key tip as well, to use that current method. Notice here we got 4 items left over. So at the moment we're trying to make sure those 4 items were legitimate at the year end. When I do current, press run report, it's now only showing me 3 of them because it looks like here that actually one of them was a legitimate age creditor and that age creditor has now been paid off. So it gives me confidence then that I only need to look into these 3, and maybe they are still outstanding, maybe I still have to pay them, but I should be able to make confidence that these are correct or not. Once you've done those 3, so make sure your bank reconciliation is correct, make sure your debtors is correct, make sure your credits are correct, that's your baseline done and dusted. And to be honest with you, for the majority of us accountants out there, that's the minimum we expect. That's the minimum that we can then start to do our magic on without no problems whatsoever. But to go through a few extra elements, let's just have a look at some other options that we have. So first of all, if I go to my reports, and I went for my profit and loss by month, and then at the top here, I filtered to last financial year end and press run report, this report is invaluable to me and my business. You see, what it's going to tell me is what profit I made by looking at my income at the top here, less any cost of sales, less any expenses, to finally tell me my profit. But what makes this report extra special is it splits it into nice monthly columns, giving me a really good visual basis to understand if anything's not quite right. For example, here I can see I had no sales whatsoever in October. That may be completely right. I also had very little sales in November. And again, there may be a legitimate reason for that, but I need to be making sure that is that correct, or have I messed up somewhere and made some sort of mistake? Same with your cost of sales. Well, we actually had some cost of sales in October, November, and we had none in July and August. Is that correct? And even more importantly for me is this expenses items here. Especially you've got things like subscriptions. Well, at the moment, we're only showing one $4.99 subscription. Should we be having this each and every time? Our rent goes all the way to June and then stops. Our insurance but then has one big payment, but then starts up again in December and January. Is that correct? And it can give me a really good indication of me knowing what's right, what's wrong, and gives me that confidence to be able to say that I'm ready to rock and roll. The other bits to make it really powerful for you is if you jump into the transactions in your receipt section, make sure all of these receipts have been dealt with. You don't want any of those outstanding or ready to go. That's going to make it easier for your accountant. And just have a look at your tag section as well, especially if you're working well with your accountant. We do a lot here for accountant to check, for review, items like that, categories, attachments needed, and just make sure these are all clear and ready to go. That's going to give you less queries later down the line for you to be able to have to answer for your accountant. And finally, if you've followed this channel for a while, you know that we really do recommend putting your director's loan current account in its own bank account as we've got here. Well, then use this as an opportunity to go through it. Just look at these transactions. Make sure you recognize these. Are these transactions you expected to see? Are these legitimate transfers to your personal bank account, for example? That's the sort of thing you need to be looking at this point. So do a sense check. Make sure that those transactions look correct. And while you're at it, make sure you look at the petty cash as well. With petty cash, cash on hand, there's no magic number that we can come back to. There's no magic statement we can refer to. This is all going to be down to your judgment to make sure that the items there look legitimate, look correct. And if you have any questions, don't forget to reach out to your accountant. And there you have it. As long as you've got those three major things, so your bank reconciliation, your debtors and your creditors all sorted, and then try and sprinkle on some of those extra bits we've just looked at, you're going to be into a really good position. It means your accountant can extract that data and also get confidence that they can be able to build on that data and be able to make sure they can get it absolutely spot on first time. The less amount of time your accountant needs to keep coming back to you on items about your accounts, everything else, that's going to be more time they can spend on actually adding value to your business and giving value to the service you have with that accountant. So there you have it, a pro tip advice on making sure that you can get the best information to your accountant. If you have any further questions, don't forget to reach out to us. Let me know below, what sort of items do you make sure is all clean and tidy before you pass it on to your accountant? Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that sort of stuff with this video. The more people that get eyeballs on this video, hopefully that means the more people is going to have nice, clean and wonderful data, and hopefully that means that their accountancy bill can come down accordingly. My name's been Aaron Patrick. This video has been a pleasure, as I've said before, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.